Okay, this is something new and it's not even finalized yet. And
Mm,
anything that we think they can't do 100%, they can subcontract up to 49% of it to
right.
somebody else. So let's say you have a contract. I'm going to talk about T4NG that was released out of the VA. And it was one of those billion-dollar vehicles as well. They had to set aside work for small businesses and large and have unrestricted. When they did it, the small business past performance was basically the same as a large company. And so small businesses really, without doing a joint venture, a lot of small businesses didn't have the past performance requirements to get on that vehicle. So
Mm,
even though they awarded 15 small business set asides, 13 of the 15 are joint ventures, which is a small business partner with a large company because they needed that large company's past performance.
right.
So one of the things we're doing now is make sure those contracts, now that they come out, it's not just, yeah, you have to give a portion to small business and large business, but when you evaluate the past performance requirement, that needs to be different. The requests for past performance need to be different for the unrestricted portion. So let's say if they want a large company to show 5 examples of contracts valued at $6 million that's relevant past performance, then on the small business set aside portion, it should be half that or a quarter of that. Another contract that came out, I think it came out at NASA. Um, no, I'm going to say I don't know what agency it came out of. I don't
Okay.
want anybody beating me up. Listen, they will come after me, Eric.
I know they're gonna come
Uh,
after you.
but one of these vehicles was awarded, and it required a contractor to have a cost accounting system, an approved cost accounting system. And there were contractors that were small businesses, and their work was going to be rolled up under this vehicle. They were excluded from the competition because they didn't have cost accounting standards, even though the work they didn't require it. When the contracting
Mm,
officer put out this solicitation, they knew that a handful of the acquisitions would need cost accounting standards. So they just left the past performance huge and they left that requirement, even though it didn't apply to everything. Where it really should have been the small business past performance requirement didn't require that, and then the unrestricted did. Or a small business could go after those if they had those task orders if they had cost accounting standards. But you shouldn't have eliminated all the small businesses that could have been on that vehicle, especially when out of maybe 100 task orders to be issued, only 5 would require the cost accounting standards.
wow.
So we're just trying to help contracting folks across the country at all these agencies think differently about the impacts of those requirements on small businesses. And if they really want small businesses to play, then the past performance, the size of it has to be meaningful for a small firm.
How do you see the role of the All Small Mentor Protege program evolving in coming years?
Oh, okay. This is something new and it's not even finalized yet. Okay,
Okay.
so this
Okay.
new idea, and you know what? I love talking about new stuff. Sometimes people say, don't say anything because you don't know if it's going to happen. It's going to happen, hopefully. But we just talked to Farouk, who's the director of small business programs for Department of Defense.
Mhm.
And 2 years ago, DoD had their big Mentor-Protégé conference, and it was at the same time the SBA had their Mentor-Protégé conference. And
Okay.
so small businesses had to decide, do I go to Florida to DoD's or do I stay in DC? I think DoD has one every year. We have one every other year. So we just talked to Farouk Von Tran, who's our acting director of the 8A program, and she also oversees the Mentor Protege program. We asked him, can we consolidate the Mentor Protege conference and bring all the federal agencies that have a Mentor Protege program to that one and make it one huge joint conference? And it's going to be in Puerto Rico this year.
Ooh.
Yes. And
Okay.
so, we're trying, Puerto Rico is a hub zone and we love our Puerto Rican firms. And I went to Puerto Rico a couple of months ago, and I was so surprised to find out that billions of dollars are spent for work in Puerto Rico, and those contracts are being given to firms in the mainland in the US,
Right.
in on the mainland. And those firms in Puerto Rico should have first dibs. Like, why would we be bringing in
Right.
contractors and employees when we have people right there in Puerto Rico that need jobs, need opportunities, and they can do the work. And
Mm,
anything that we think they can't do 100%, they can subcontract up to 49% of it to
right.
somebody else. Like, we need to bring back jobs and opportunities. So I'm really excited about that. It'll be a joint mentor protege conference. You can have one trip, and a lot of people don't know you can fly to DC round trip back and forth to Puerto Rico for like $260. It's cheaper than going to, Dallas and some of these other places.
Wow. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Mhm. So get ready.
I'm going. When is it? Do you know the dates? I'm going.
No, the dates,
Okay.
I don't have the dates locked in yet.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Um, what was do you know the amount of, you threw out a number earlier about 170 billion. What was the total value of contract awards to small businesses this past fiscal year?
Um, it was over 170 billion. The
Mm,
numbers will not be finalized until January because we
okay.
get every agency's um, contract awards except the Department of Energy, and that's because with the Department of Energy, it's different. They get credit for their subcontracts. They get
Okay.
prime credit for their subcontracts, but they have to take time to calculate that.
Okay.
But we are going to again far exceed our goals. Agencies are leaning in. I mean, we just last week, we gave the agencies their new goals for 25, and these new goals to help us get to 15% SDB by 2025.
Okay.
And, a lot of them think they can't possibly do it, but it's the bottom line. This goal didn't come from the SBA, it came from the President of the United States. And one thing I've learned in DoD, which was, bulk of my career was with Department of Defense, is I learned order, structure, and chain of command. And when the top boss says, this is what we're doing, our job as public servants is to just get us there. And regardless of whether we get to the goal, exceed the goal, we need to just give 100% of our effort to getting there and get as close as we could possibly get and have that goal to just, move forward. Not say, I don't think it's reasonable. I don't think I can't. Like, because the moment that I tell my leadership, I don't think something's possible and they're asking me to do it, I might not be the right person for this job.
Mm,
Like, why would I take this job if I'm walking in the door saying, I don't think it's possible for us to set up this certification process that should take 4 years to do it in 10 months? If I don't think it's possible, I'm not the right person.